Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We liked our movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained as pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the feeling bit by bit. Sweety and Sweety are here to say it's the Large Marge sent us podcast. Hey.
Every time the Earthling uses Orin to make a wish, my new invention makes him lose a memory. With each wish, the liquid in his head forms a memory ball. It falls down and is collected in the beaker below.
What happens when the Earthling has lost all of his memories?
Obviously, the beaker at the bottom is full.
And the Earthling's head is empty. And he won't remember where he came from. Won't remember his own world. But best of all, he will have forgotten his mission. Why he came to Fantasia. He will have forgotten the Childlike Empress.
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Sent Us podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about movies that shape their childhood.
I'm Sweety.
And I'm Sweety.
You're not supposed to let me go first. You do Sweety and then I do Sweety.
Yo, so the problem is sometimes
boy.
I listen to old episodes to like ramp myself up for the episode we're going to be filming of the day. And so I like hear me do that same introduction every time, and it's like so similar that I just want to be like, I want to change it.
But we didn't do the same one for a while. Like, it wasn't until a few episodes we really got in the...
Oh,
it was
yeah.
different every time in the beginning.
I
so.
know, and that was like really funny. And then we got in a groove, and then that was like really nice. But now I'm just like, I'll change it up with a different
Gotta be the
syllable
same so
or
people
something.
know who we are.
No.
Whatever.
Whatever.
So, hey guys.
Hey guys,
So
it's the Large Marge
it-
Sent Us podcast.
It's September. And
Woo! How do you feel about that?
I feel great about it
Yeah.
because I love fall, but I know you don't
Eh.
love it so much. But I love it. My birthday's in October, so I always loved fall.
Yeah.
I just love the crisp air and we get to put on your sweaters and your little jackets.
I like the nice sleeping nights.
Sure.
I like refused to get an air conditioner, or just I was just lazy and
I'm
broke.
aware.
And I'm just like, I'm gonna hold out. And like, luckily, there's only a couple really hot nights, so
And
I like worked
both
out.
nights we decided to do a podcast in your apartment.
Never been so hot
How
in my
about
lives.
that?
But yeah, fall's pretty cool. But it's like really cool because of one reason.
What reason was that?
Because we do theme months in September. So I don't know if you guys are like true fans of this podcast and you remember, because our second month ever we did Savage September, which is when we watched all Fred Savage movies,
Those were
the
the
only four that he
days.
really did. And it was amazing. So if you listen to those, go back. Good call. So we did Little Monsters, The Wizard, Princess Bride, and vice versa. Really cool movies, and we really liked all of them. But this year, 2017, 2017, we're doing something a little different.
That's right. We're doing sequels sequels plural?
Yeah, I
or
think I added an
sequel.
S.
Me
Sequels.
too. But is that
'Cause
like
we're gonna do so
grammatically
many.
correct?
Oh, shit.
I don't know. Sequels
September.
September.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
So we will cover all sequels all the time.
And I keep remembering new ones, so
I know.
we'll just
It
have
might be
to keep
crazy. It
adding
might
to
get a
them,
little
and
crazy.
I think we're gonna have to bump up our schedule to 2 days a week. Gonna have to really just really cancel all my plans.
A lot of eps.
Yeah. So get ready for that.
all right.
And we decided a way to organize it would be try to do it in the order that we saw the originals.
If we saw the original.
Yeah, if we saw them at all. So our first one ends up being the questionably not favorite.
I don't know what you're talking about. This is the best movie I've ever seen in my life.
It was a rough go for me. It was The Neverending
Neverending
Story 2. Turn around. Look at what you see.
See, I
Bastian
did it
looks
again.
different.
Everyone does also. So this one is The Neverending Story, the next chapter. So I suppose it's like a trilogy. So what they did is they kind of separated the book into two parts, and they made the second movie part of the second
What's
part
the deal
of
with the book again?
What do you mean?
Like who
It's
who
a
wrote
book.
it? When did it come out? Like, what's it with that?
Michael Ende. I don't know.
Is
I
he
don't know how to
German?
pronounce that. I believe he's German.
Okay.
He wrote it. Don't know when. Presumably not that long ago because he sued them for making such shitty movies out of his books. And yeah, so I don't know.
Dude, you sell the
70s.
rights. Too bad.
I'll guess 70s.
You get the money. They can do whatever they fucking want.
Right. So he
What a
lost
baby.
that. That's why he lost the case. But yeah, so Neverending Story Part 2. I, for some reason, watch this movie all the time. I'm pretty sure we had it. You don't remember it as much, but I watched it a lot. And I think that I thought it was a better movie when I was little. I don't know why. I'm assuming it's because when you're little, you don't have any taste. And, and I was swayed by the attractive women and the nice mermaid lady in the ship of secrets or whatever, ship of secret plots. I just really enjoy that. I liked pretty things, and that's what I thought. So that's my spiel. But you had only remembered seeing this like
I
twice.
only remember a couple scenes. Like I remember that Jonathan Brandis was in it. Jonathan Brandis was like a big star in the 90s, right? So he was in like Ladybugs and Sequest, that show. I remember this girl, my summer friend Kaylin, was like obsessed with him, like Tiger Beat level, like posters all over her room.
Yeah.
And he was like a very attractive looking little boy, let's say. He's like these big blue eyes and
that.
blonde hair. Like,
Not into that.
yeah, not my taste at all, but I can see why some girls would be like, ah! But yeah, so he was in it, taking over the role of Bastian. So the deal was with this movie is that it was made 6 years after the original. So they wanted to do the sequel right after the original, so they could have used all the same actors. But it got delayed. Like Sweety was saying, the author took them to court. So it was like, it wasn't still 6 years later that they could like finally make this movie. So obviously all the kids were like in their 20s now.
Too old.
Yeah, and they couldn't be in it, so they had to recast. And like, you know, as we talk about sequels all the time, tough going when you are making a sequel and have to like completely recast the whole film because it loses at least that first initial magic of the first movie when you have all those same actors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this
is almost more like remake style because it was all new people.
Yeah, and I don't know. There's just something like the writing is not as good. It's pretty
It
terrible.
has zero magic of the first one. Literally zero.
Well, I mean, I thought, like, still think there was plenty of magic when I was little. Like, I told you all the parts that as they were happening, I was like, and this part, and this part.
But you know, like the creepy weirdness, but like still believable, cool part or something of the first one.
Yeah.
And like, it just, nothing resonates here. And like the plot is basically the same.
The
but
plot
like
is garbage.
12 times worse than the first one.
Total garbage.
If that's possible. I mean, the other one had, like, the original had such a good message, and this one was just like Cheeseball City. I mean, that might even be a town in Fantasia.
Probably. Next town over from Silver City.
So, yeah, I'm going to say disappointed, but our first sequel off the bat, disappointing sequel. But this will not be the case as we move forward because we like a lot of our sequels that we're going to be covering. So
we do, but we're probably weird in that way. So I'm sure most of you either have not seen this and just love listening to us talk.
You know you do. You know you do.
Or B, have seen this, but don't remember a ton of it. So luckily for both of you, we're going to do our favorite segment of all time. It is
It's time for the Sweetie synopsis. Yeah,
Sweeties. You got nothing? You got no witty retort?
Is this Yum Yum Rocky?
That's not how he said it. It's, is this Yum Yum Rocky?
That's the Rock baby, everybody.
Oh boy,
Rock
Junior.
Eater somehow is a single dad now and has a baby. We'll talk about
Unexplained.
it. We'll talk about it.
All right. Bastian Balthazar Bucks.
Okay, first of all, let's just talk about that name. So you find out, okay, in the first one, do you know his last name at all?
No.
Okay, you don't even know his last name. You don't know his middle name. So he's Bastian, which is like kind of a weird name. And I remember talking in the first time we went this. It's German, but it's weird to us, okay? But what the fuck? That's from the book, I guess it's fine. But like, B cubed. Like, what the fuck is going on?
You're
there?
just mad because your little theory about how his last name was Child didn't pan out.
And there's no way his mom's a Native American now. Hello.
She still could be. They probably just didn't want to go in that direction. Okay, God, whatever.
Bastian Balthazar Bucks.
So,
oh man, that's like a good team name
so
for trivia.
I guess like all the main characters had like names like that. Like the bookstore's guy, his name was like 3 C's, like coriander, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, coriander. Cool, so I don't know. Don't knock until you read it, I guess. Anyway, so Bastian is back in his world. His feet are on the ground. His feet are on the ground again. He clearly learned nothing from the first adventure to Fantasia because he's still like moping around and like, I just want to draw unicorns and stuff.
But he's not. I don't like get that from him that he's like super creative and even likes to read. I mean, he goes to the bookstore.
He
but
did stab that tomato sandwich and hold it in the air,
right,
like a wizard.
I don't know. A good job of that. And he's no longer being bullied. Hooray!
But
it gets better. But
he has decided for some reason to join the diving team.
No, it's a swim team.
Oh, but the swim team doesn't always
exactly. What the fuck kind of crazy school is this that they're like, hey, try out for the swim team. You got to jump off the highest fucking diving board.
It makes no sense.
And the guy makes fun of him.
It's very bizarre. So Bastian either has, it's unclear whether he has a fear of diving, period, or heights. As we'll see later, he's not afraid of heights when he's flying on Falcor millions of miles above the ground. So debatable. Anyways, so he's like, you kids gotta make the team. You gotta climb to the highest high board, which isn't even, it's higher than the regular high board. It's so high that when the kids are standing up there, they can like skim the ceiling with their head. And you're like, what the fuck is this? Is this safe? How deep is that school pool? What? Also, who had a pool? Raise your hand. I never had a pool.
No, I don't know where the school was. Like, what is happening?
Seattle. So I'm pretty sure it's Seattle, which I didn't realize from the first one, but you could clearly see it in a few shots in this one. Anyway, so Bastian chickens out. He's like, I got a cramp. Sorry, I can't do it. And he like comes
Where
back
did he
down.
learn that excuse? That's pretty good.
I don't know.
Remember that the gym teacher said something to him? He's like, you can't put on your wimp coat or something. Like, he says something kind of really mean. Like, the coach is a bully.
Oh, still a bully.
Maybe it's one of the kids who threw him in the garbage can.
It doesn't get better. Why would he have aged so quickly?
Maybe he was an older kid and is like now the swim coach for some weird reason.
All right, we'll look into that.
Theory. My new theory.
Oh boy,
it kind of looked like the fat kid.
A little bit, yeah. Okay. So, Bastian like goes home. And his dad's like, "Hey, did you make the swim team?" And he's like, "No, I couldn't jump the high dive." And the dad's like, "Would you get a cramp?" Like, I guess like he says that excuse all the time, whatever. So they get in like a fight again. Bastian's dad's like dating every night, going out. Bastian's like, "What the fuck? Stop leaving me alone. I lost my mom. I'm still sad."
Yeah.
And whatever, they're like getting a weird fight. And then Bastian likes to wear this like ratty old sweater around all the time, which is so small that it's basically now a sweater vest.
That's why I was like, what is that? I didn't even like realize what
with
it
a giant
was.
with holes all over it.
I was like, why does his shirt have like
he looks
fuzzy
like,
parts to it?
No, it's they're holes. And it looks like a vagabond, and he's like wearing it around all the time. And his dad's like, "Why are you wearing that ratty old thing?" And he's like, "Mom made it." But come on, like so you have sentimental value to something. That's fine. Put it next to sleep with it at night or something. Like, don't wear it around the house like a weirdo.
So it's closest to his heart.
Whatever. So they get in a fight. He leaves, and then Bastian runs off. No, maybe that was earlier. That was the day before. He was running around. He goes back to his old friend, Mr. Coriander's bookstore. Still not Sean Connery. Still not Sean Connery, I should say. Sean Connery did not reprise his role as not Sean Connery.
Wow, that is just like really confusing. It is the poor man Sean Connery.
Yes, so it is the same. The only actor that is the same between both movies is Mr. Coriander. So once again, Mr. Coriander pulls that old stupid trick where he's like, "You can't
old
read
chestnut.
this book." Yeah, that old chestnut. He's like, "Don't read this. You can't have this book. It's too dangerous. Don't. No, you can't." And then Bastian runs away with it again, and Mr. Coriander's like, "I wanted you to do that the whole time."
Bastian's like,
"Last
ha
time."
ha ha, fool that old man again.
He never learns. So he takes the book home. He starts reading it, or he doesn't start reading it. He opens it and realizes that the words on the pages are like disappearing. So he's like, "What the heck is happening here?" And then he hears like whispers. It's like, and then you hear like the childlike empress is like, "Bastian, help us." We're dying. Or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. But so this time, and we don't really see this happen, so it's a little confusing, but Bastian basically gets like sucked in the book.
Right. Which you're like, that is not what happened at all the first time. And the whole part was that like he was reading and then like part of the story.
But he had already done that. So I don't know. He just skipped that.
I mean, it makes you think that like he could like go to that world all the time, and especially how he like is friends still with the people.
Maybe it's different. I don't know.
I don't know.
So before that, he took the Orin off, which is that twisty snake thing on the front, as Sweety would like to say.
Twisty.
Correct. And he like wears it as a necklace. So now all of a sudden he's in this like majestic boat, like sailing on the sea, and there's like the shining city in the distance. And then we hear this like evil witch lady is like, a human child, an earthling child come to save Fantasia. So she has her little crony like make this machine that will. So the Orin already has the power to grant who a human like wishes. So that's fine. But this machine that they've created now, if he makes a wish, it steals a memory from his head and then vanishes it into nothingness. So he'll just lose those memories forever. So the goal, because they know that Bastian is here to save Fantasia, the goal is to make him use up all of those wishes, thereby eliminating all of his memories. And then he forgets why he came to Fantasia in the first place, and he can't save anything. So I guess that's the overall goal here. So that's the plan. So she sends this terrifying seagull man.
It's a bird man.
Birdman. A seagull is a bird.
Nimbly, and he walks in this like really creepy way. So fucking creepy to me. I told Sweety, second only to old Biff in terms of like creepiness.
It's a bird suit.
And he like talks like all kind of funny like this, and he's like, Bash, and he kind of sounds like Belina.
Yeah,
Belina from
I was going to say that a lot of this
Return to Oz
reminds me of Return to Oz, like in that same
Bastion.
vein.
Oh, your memory. And then make me cry.
So for some reason, the Silver City now exists, which we never knew of before.
Was that in the other?
Not in the first one. So we sail in, they go in. The Silver City is basically like Venice, like crazy, except for the fact that it is populated by strange people who wear like white masks and robes and walk around.
It's like one big masquerade ball.
Yes, and all they do all fucking day is walk around like voguing or like whatever that is, like hands in the air, like.
They don't like do anything.
That's all they do. It's very bizarre, also creepy. So Bastian's like, "This is great. What a great place." I'm like, "What?
Nothing's wrong with Fantasia. Can't wait to party
and then
here."
You hear like an ominous sound and like these scary giant things like pop out of the ground. Everybody runs away scared. Everybody's like, "What
Giant
are those?"
like cockroaches or something.
I don't know what the fuck those
Or
are.
like, remember like the bad guys in like Power Rangers? Kind of look like that.
Maybe it's just the putties.
Yeah.
No.
No, not the. No, like the machine-y kind of ones.
Well, they were
The
different every
machine kind of
time.
ones that, like,
they
the
were
Japanese
different
people
every
were always
time. It was a
inside
different
controlling them.
bad thing every time. There wasn't just one. God, you know nothing about Power Rangers.
I don't know anything.
Anyway, so blah 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 blah. He gets saved. Nimbly pulls him up on a rope.
Yeah, so
they die.
He doesn't use his wish.
Bastian falls down a chute into the ship of secret plots, which contains some strange people. A lady at a harp with a shell on her head. There's like a mermaid lady without a fin
like
with
her.
like
She's cool.
scarves
The gross
floating.
mud guy.
The mud guy reminds me of Pizza the Hut.
Yeah.
And then this volcano guy who probably smells like farts because it's like sulfur, you know. So they're like, "Oh, I don't know what the fuck they do all day, but they're like, we haven't gotten in touch with the Empress, the Childlike Empress, in a long time.
Yeah.
Like, she's being held prisoner. I don't know." And then, but this whole time, the mermaid lady can just like blow dust and then communicate with her.
What?
Like, why did that work that time? I don't know. So anyway, so they do that, and the Childlike Empress is like, Bastian, you have to save me. I'm being held prisoner in the ivory tower. Use the Orin. But she doesn't know that bitchy lady created a machine to steal the memories. So it's like, what? Because we thought she was playing a game. We thought she was messing. We thought that was a fake Childlike Empress. I don't know.
Certainly
what we
looks
thought.
like it.
We were
She's
confused.
busted.
She is. So Bastian goes back to Nimbly, and he's like, we gotta get everybody involved here. This is a situation. We need people to help. Nobody fucking helps except for
What do you know?
Atreyu.
And it's like the exact same scene in the first one, except there's no Samuel Jackson being like, who will save us? Who will save us? It's Atreyu who hunts the purple buffalo. There's nothing like that. So it's just like fucking whiny Bastian being like, come on, we have to save Fantasia. Who's gonna help us? I'm a big baby.
And Atreyu comes on Artax, who's alive, thank God. And then for some reason they're like BFFs for life, even though they barely got to hang out, I would say. As far as I know, they didn't even meet one time.
Remember, he just waves.
Yeah, he just waves from the plane. She's like, I'm on Artax, see you later. Like, what? Why are they friends? So anyways, they reconnect, blah, blah, blah. And then they go off in search of this evil castle that looks like a hand. Wait, why are we doing it? Why did they know to find that?
Because Nimbly was, they had said that the Atreyu had said that the giants come from a castle that looks like a hand.
Oh, yeah,
and then
yeah.
Nimbly's like, castle looks like a hand? That's our castle.
Oh, that's
so he like totally gives away that he like
I wasn't
is
sure.
actually working.
I wasn't
for
sure if he
her.
said that or that was the name of the castle, but he said it weird.
Right.
Okay.
So then they're like, okay, how are we gonna? Oh, we can only get there by you can only get there by flying. So he's like, we'll get a dragon, and so Atreyu starts to use the Orin and makes wishes. So this is bad for him, right? Because or Bastian does, because then like all his memories are going to start falling and dropping into this contraption. So he's like such a dumbass. He wishes for this dragon with like, breathes fire and does this and has this and does that. And it's like this, and I'll name him like Smorg. Smorg. And it's this horrible fire-breathing dragon. It like attacks everybody. Like, what the fuck, dude? You have a luck dragon.
Yeah. Meanwhile, and then Falcor like pops his head around the corner after the menacing dragon like tries to kill everyone and flies away. He's like, "Did someone say dragon?"
Like what?
Bitch, where you been? So they get on. He gets on Falcor and they like fly after the dragon, who leads them straight to the castle. It looks like a hand. However, they can't get to the castle because it's got all these crazy lasers all over it, and then it zaps the dragon. So, R.I.P. Smorg. We hardly knew you.
Good riddance, bad dragon.
He sucks. So then they like take a detour because they can't get to the castle. So they like go off. They like wait 5 years for Atreyu to get there because he's on horseback. Yeah. They meet the rockbiter, who's like now has a son. Unclear who he had sex with. Also how that works. Yeah. And why he's a single dad.
Well, he must be always hard.
But there's no, like, he barely has legs. It's very bizarre.
Who needs legs?
Anyway, so this baby Rockbiter Jr. is upset because he's hungry. And Bastian's like, "What? How can you be hungry with all these rocks laying around?" And these Rockbiter's like, idiot, they're empty rocks. Like, whatever is attacking Fantasia again is creating everything's empty now. It's no good. So, I don't know, they start putting it together. They're like, oh, the pages are being erased, the rocks are being erased, like Fantasia's going away, and if that happens, the kids won't be able to read the stories anymore, no one will know about us, blah, 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 which I feel like was the same kind of thing that was happening with the Nothing. Isn't that why the Nothing happened in the first place? People stopped believing.
Same plot. They just changed the Nothing to Emptiness.
Don't give it away. Sorry. So, anyways, Atreyu finally gets there. He's like, I brought some warriors. They're in a bag. It's weird. We're like, all right, we'll talk about that later. And then they go to the hand castle. Bastian almost dies because he's like not quick enough for those lasers. And one zaps him. And Atreyu, genius, genius moves by Atreyu, takes the Orin and reflects the laser beam back at the hand thing and explodes. So no more lasers.
Because he's a plains person.
It is. It's the purple buffalo. They
the
give him
purple
a lot of courage and smartness.
Smartness.
So they can now get in the hand castle. There's those stupid giants again. They get past those. Bastian has to climb up this giant wall. He uses like maybe 8,000 wishes to make 8,000 steps so that he can climb up the wall, which total racket.
Give me another step and another step and another step. He just wishes for all these fucking steps. I'm like,
never
dude,
ending.
Get up a couple steps first. See how many you need.
Okay, first of all, Bastian, here's how wishes work. Like, be like, I wish that a whole bunch of steps were already created, like, at once. So you don't do it one at a time, like, piecemeal step.
The
like,
kid
what?
is slow. He's
He
fucking
sucks.
slow.
He's supposed to be smart. He reads all the time. I don't know, just whatever. So Bastian climbs up there. Atreyu gets like abducted by a giant and then gets like strung over a like a weird fire pit for no reason. And then they defeat the giants. And then they meet the evil witch lady whose name is Xaida. And she's kind of, I mean, she's hot. She has cool outfits, great earring collection, but
Accessories
is
on
evil.
point.
She's evil though. So
But she just wants to take over Fantasia?
She wants to take over Fantasia, I guess. So she's like, she locked the Empress in the tower, and they're like, give her back. Don't do that. And she's like, no, I'll do what I want. It was like the dumbest conversation that ever happened on this side of this planet.
But then it got like strangely violent, and like Atreyu was like, do you want to die today? Like, whoa, I thought that was off the table.
And she just gives in. It's very weird. We like looked away for a second and then like they were whatever. And so then she's like, all right, I'll take you to the ivory tower. So she's like hops in her giant, what do you call it?
Oh my God, I love that thing. Well, I call it the mobile tomato, or the tomato car. It's actually called a Zobele.
The Zobele. So it's like it's like a mobile carriage that just like drifts along.
What that is.
And then Xaida's like, Bastian, will you please ride with me? And he's like, sure. I don't know if she must have like some like witch power to like make him like lust her. Like he is like goo for Xaida puffs, you know what I'm saying? He's just like into her.
How do you think you spell Zobele?
I spelled it. That was going to be one of my questions to you. I spelled it phonetically. So Zopalay. Try the Wikipedia for the book. Maybe it's in there. Maybe not now, because I need you to like be here for me.
All right.
So anyways, they're in this thing, and she like gives him this like weird fucking bell with an eye in it, and she's like, here's a present. And then he puts it on, and it makes him invisible, and he's like, that was scary, thanks. And it's another stupid trick, because the only way to get like visible again is to be like, I wish I was visible again.
What the fuck?
What a racket. If I was Bastian, I'd be like, this is the biggest this is the shittiest wish power I've ever had.
As his memories are going, he's like also getting like more dumb.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's true. So Atreyu is smart and has figured out the whole shenanigan and is like, listen, buddy, they've got a machine. It's stealing your memories. You got to stop making wishes. And Bastian's like, fuck you. You're just trying to take the Orin away from me. Like, I don't trust you. And he's just...
he's like, yeah, if you want this Orin, come and get it.
And then
they get into like the lamest fight you've ever seen. It's literally like one push of an arm and he like goes flying off of this cliff. And Atreyu's in bad shape.
He's like dead, pretty much.
But then like Bastian doesn't even care. He's like, serves you right.
So
he like storms off. But then he goes into the Zobele and finds the fucking machine where his memories are disappearing and puts the two and two together and is like, hey, I've just been bamboozled.
Right. Yep. So meanwhile, Falcor flies off with Atreyu and Bastian goes off after them on Artex.
I didn't mean it. Too late to come back.
It's a bit late for that. Bastian.
I left him there.
So then he meets up with Falcor, and so at this point, Bastian only has 2 wishes left, and they just happen to be his mother and his father. So those are the 2 memories that are remaining. So Falcor is like, well, I think maybe your mom would want you to use your last wish to like revive Atreyu, which sure, Moonchild, she seems like a decent lady, so she'd want.
At least he can do.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, you fucking killed him. So Atreyu uses one of his wishes and gets Atreyu back, and then Atreyu's like, wow, your mom would have been proud, and Bastian's like, who? Real sad.
Oh.
So now, so Atreyu's back, so they go back to Xaida, and they're like, listen, bitch. Oh, no, Xaida finds them. I forget. I don't know. Oh, they go back to the Silver City, and it's like destroyed, and then Xaida, like, finds them again. And she's like, you have one wish, Bastian. Like, use it to get out of here, and then everybody else will die. Yeah, you can go home and, like, forget about everybody else. Which, like, old Bastian totally probably would have taken her up on that offer, but new Bastian's like, he's like, bitch.
Friendship first.
Rose before crazy witch ladies with nice earrings.
For Zaidas.
So he uses his last wish. He's like, okay, I'll use my last wish. He's like, I wish for you to have a heart.
That really came out of left field. I was like, wow, I never would have went there.
I mean, way over my head.
Yeah. I was like, huh? What is that going to do?
We made fun of Bastian this whole time, and then he just, like, pulls it out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was Atreyu's idea the whole time,
Seriously.
and he didn't take credit for it, because it's the kind of guy he is.
Dude, cultural appropriation. Forever.
Totally. So Xaida, like, sheds, like, one tear, and it falls on the ground, and everything is all better, and then she, like, explodes because the love was too much for her heart to handle her, like, regret for all the bad things she had done or something or whatever. And then the childlike Empress arrives on a boat and is like, hey, thanks for saving me.
Childlike Empress in the house.
Again. Honestly, what does the childlike Empress do? Because Bastian is always getting her out of these shitty situations, and I'm sick of it.
She can't do shit.
So she arrives and then is like, great, thank you. And is like, here's the only way out of here. And it's
Bad news.
it's this giant, like, ravine.
You got to jump in these waterfalls. Have fun.
Yeah, and so Bastian's like, what? And then he hears his dad. Oh, so this whole time his dad has been reading the book, and the book is recounting the whole journey. So his dad's kind of acting out Bastian's part in the first movie where he's, like, reading the book, like, in the thing. So he, like, hears his dad's voice, like, come on, Bastian, you can do it. So he jumps, and then he gets back home and tells his dad he loves him, and everything is all better. And then that's the end. So, like, pretty stupid plot. Oh, yeah, and by the way, the thing that was destroying Fantasia, Bastian needed to name it.
Yeah.
He names it the Emptiness, a.k.a. the Nothing, Part 2.
Wow.
So,
I mean, couldn't they have come up with a different plot as to, like, what was happening there?
Gamork. Like, bring Gamork back. I don't know.
No, and it just was like, why was that lady doing that? Like, she obviously was not doing a very good job. She already, like, imprisoned the childlike Empress, but she refused to leave the hand castle. Like, you're not going to take over Fantasia by sitting on your ass.
But she knew that Bastian was there to save the day. So
she had to
she was,
stop
like,
him?
setting a trap, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, she sucks. And Bastian sucks. Like, sure, I'll trust the lady in the evil hand castle with a nice earring collection instead of your best friend Atreyu.
Like, I know the first one is, like, weird and, like, it, like, is, like, trippy. I mean, it makes sense, but, like, you know, it's, like, weird. This one, like, nothing fucking makes sense. Like, literally no choices make sense. You don't understand, like, why that character is just suddenly, like hanging from a chain in, like, the middle of a stairway. Like, how the fuck did he get there? Like, everything is like, how did that happen?
Because the giants can travel through darkness, which is, like, 10 times faster than the speed of light. So,
but it's like,
science,
okay, why?
science.
I don't understand. Like, what? Yeah, it's just like you said. Like, why did Bastian, like, trust someone who clearly was an evil person, and they knew it, and they were, like, had figured all this stuff out, and then he was like, oh, well, I really want to, like, ride in this, like, tomato. Like, and, like, what the fuck was that thing?
It's like googly eyes for her. It was weird. Yeah, it was pretty weird. And so some hilariously bad writing, terrible acting. Even I feel the thing is that I've seen Jonathan Brandis do, like, okay stuff.
He was good in that. Full House. We just watched.
We did watch the episode of Full
that.
House that he was in, where he breaks poor DJ's heart, and Sweety was very concerned about that. But yeah, he was fine in that. So I really, truly feel that I'm sure it was the writing was the cause of this. No offense, Karen, whatever, who wrote this. Not your best work. So a few examples. So my favorite line was when they meet Xaida, and she's, like, sitting in her, like, menacing chair, and she's like, I am Xaida. This is my castle. Like, all these, like, unnecessary ellipses are, like, in all of the lines. Bastian's lines are all terrible. He, like, keeps trying to get, like, pally with Atreyu by using, like, colloquialisms. And it's like not like it's not working out. Like he keeps being like, give me 5. And Atreyu's like, 5? What is 5?
Do you know what reminded me
5
of?
what?
It reminded me of Marty McFly like saying all the stuff to Doc Brown in like the 1950s Back to the Future. Like, that's heavy.
Yeah, but like, but he didn't like try. It's not like he needed. I don't know. This was just bizarre. It was like,
No, but if he was really Bastian, he would know that, like, of course Atreyu doesn't know, like, modern day
Right.
stuff.
Well,
He's
I
from Fantasia.
I feel like he kept getting offended when Atreyu was like, "What? This is blah blah blah."
Because he's an asshole.
He sucks. He sucks so bad. Our other favorite part was when Bastian and Atreyu decide to make a plan,
Yeah.
and they like. They're like, all right, we'll make a plan. And then they write in the dirt with a stick. And the plan is literally 3 arrows. One's pointing like diagonally left. One is like left. And the other one is up. And they're like, okay, got it?
Got it. Good. Good plan. And, like, literally when they sneak up the castle, they just, like, walk up to the gate. They're like, all right, so this is the plan.
Which part of the plan is this? I don't know. It's like a weird football play. Like, what the fuck is happening? So bizarre. So, yes, a lot of things, nothing makes sense. Nothing. It's very haphazardly put together. And I don't know why they decided to, like, go through with this movie at all, because they had nothing. Like, I read the summary of the book, and the second part of the book is really very minimal. It was like, there's like 2 parts from the movie that have to do with the second part in the book. It's not really that relevant. So I'm just very confused still by it. And so, by the way, the reason that Bastian was able to save Fantasia was because the emptiness couldn't just be destroyed. It needed to be filled with love. Right? Or like heart. So that's why. But still, like, how did Bastian know that? He's a fucking dummy. I don't buy it. I don't buy that for a second.
You guys, this movie is not good.
It's not.
And it's really worse than I thought it was.
Yeah, it's not the way I remembered it.
I mean, okay, let's try to like get some positive stuff going with this, okay? Let's say one positive thing that you liked about it.
I mean, I have a few.
Okay.
Xaida's wardrobe.
Okay, cool.
Love it. Falcor's back, except he looks like the devil.
Falcor's back and he's gonna
Kill you because he's got red eyes.
So, yeah, why do you have red eyes?
I don't know. For some reason, they give him like scary red eyes. He looks like Satan. Satan the Falcor. I don't love it. Yeah, that was back. It's nice to see a familiar face. Yada yada yada. What else? Come
on, there's got to be some shining moments. Mr. Abracadabra, coriander. Damn, spice. I'm like, it's a spice. It's a spice. Do you know that coriander is like cilantro seeds?
Yes, I know.
If you like smell them, you're like, ooh, cilantro.
Or I thought coriander was what like British people called cilantro, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
But I thought it was the seeds. Like when you I have coriander seeds and then you like crush them.
Well, look it up. I was in the grocery store one time and I heard this couple like arguing about how to find coriander, and they were like, "It's not anywhere." They're like, and the guy kept being like, "I think it's just cilantro," and the lady was like, "No, the recipe says coriander." Like they were like so upset about it. I was in a grocery store one time and heard this couple fighting in the spice rack to find it. What is that?
Oh my god, that's like an apple thing.
Oh, cool. Anyways. All right, great. No one else can see.
Phone shakes.
Yes.
It's like
this is great. It's great.
That's really creepy. Okay. Okay, can I do my positives?
I only had one, but go.
Do you have any others?
Well, no, I guess not.
Too late. I thought the dad actually was like, okay, roll. I thought that guy was good. And we haven't mentioned yet, but the dad is the dad at Dawson's Creek, who always plays like kind of a shitty dad. Bad dad, yeah.
Why was he shitty in Dawson's Creek again? Does he have
remember
an affair?
he cheats? Yeah, remember he cheats?
Doesn't he die in
Yes.
like a car accident?
Yes. It's horrible.
Spoiler.
And then I saw he was in something else sort of recently too, and I'm not remembering what it is. But I thought he was like a good dad. I was really into that character.
You were so mad at him in the beginning. You were like, "Why would you say that about the ratty sweater?"
Well, that was the way that the father-son fought was very strange to me, because he's like, oh, like I saw, like Bastian's kind of like giving him shit for going on this date, because the dad's like, oh, I'm going like an architecture sales conference, and then Bastian's like, station wagon, or he says like, he just says station wagon, and the dad's like, what? And then he's like, well, at least I don't wear ratty sweaters. And like, so he's like trying to like one up his son. I'm like, dude,
it's like he's fighting with like his like asshole friend or something.
Yeah, it was weird. I'm like, this relationship is fucking bonkers. And then the end does get like super schmaltzy because he's like, I just want to tell my dad I love him. And it got like, ugh, like, this is weird. And then when he jumps off into the waterfall and then gets home, he ends up being like transported to outside of his house. So the dad like finishes the book and it's like, Bastian jumped into the waterfall and the dad's like, oh, and all of a sudden he hears like knock at the door. And he's like, who could that be? And it's Bastian like outside in the rain. And he's like, Dad? And he does this like flying leap and hugs him. I'm like, was that necessary?
Yeah.
It just seemed a little like...
Yeah. It's a little much. I mean, they're all they have. They're all each other have. Unless he marries this woman in the station wagon. We'll see what happens with that relationship. Still weird. I still think they have a weird relationship. And yes, I think he's a much better dad than the major dad in the first one.
Yeah, major.
AKA, wait, the Tremors guy? No. That's Family Ties dad.
No.
Yeah. So the dad in the first one just seemed like more of an asshole to me.
But I mean, he was in it for like what, like a second,
right? But he's like, you
an
can't
integral
dream.
part.
Like Bastian was a tiny child.
Yeah,
like
I didn't get that was the role of like this dad in this one. This dad was more like, I don't got time for you. Like, I got my own
more
shit going
consumed
on.
by his work
Yeah,
and blah 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 blah. That old chestnut.
The old chestnut. So I did like that. Second, the cool fashions of Xaida and accessory choices, including that very cool headpiece thing.
It's not my favorite. I feel like she looks like like old lamps had like
that like that like
Yeah.
80s like art deco.
kind of yeah. Like so she wore these crazy earrings, but she looked like an earring herself.
Well, it was way too matchy.
She could be an earring.
Matchy.
I preferred the red dress with like the cool like what are those called? Epaulette? No. What are those?
Yeah, epaulets.
Yeah. And then those like red twisty earrings, sequin dress. I loved it. It was just it's my favorite look. But yeah, I love her.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So
I don't care if she's bad.
She was good.
Does she seem dubbed to you? Like her voice? I always thought it was when I was little, but yeah.
She's trying to be like all like sexually like creepy or something.
Sexually menacing.
Yeah. But yeah, like all the stuff, like the scenes and like the set, like the scenery wasn't as cool. I feel like the main little city was like kind of neat, but not really. None of the monsters were that scary. And like what was kind of weird too, and obviously as we were talking about, the casting all had to change because of the time, between movies. But they got the voices to be like close, but just off enough that you were like, should have just done something completely different. Because it was just like distracting to be like, it was like horrible mimics. And I feel like that's what this whole movie is like just them trying to mimic the first one and completely missing the mark so
the
hard
magic,
that it just like
It's just a shame that
belly flopped.
So I think that when the first Neverending Story was made, it was at a time when special effects were very practical. And when the second one was made, what year was this?
90.
So it was like on the cusp of like this discovery of all these other techniques that they could use. So they use like that. What's that? I don't know what this is called, but when they like put a backdrop, like a painted backdrop behind someone to like make the set, like they did that a lot in this. Yeah. So it's like really stupid, and the creatures were just not as cool. We're missing like the whole. So like the problem I have is that one of my favorite parts in the Neverending Story is when he goes to the Ivory Tower and there's all those different creatures like waiting there. We talked about them in that episode. There's like an elephant guy, like a person with like 7 heads, just like cool shit. This one, we only have an entire city full of people in masquerade masks, like waltzing around. That's it. That's like the only people in this fucking town. Like, it sucks. Yeah. Yet Tri-Face, which is like the smart guy of Xaida.
Was kind of cool.
Which, yeah, and I remember that pretty vividly. He's like a card, and his face. But like, why? Like, okay, so that's the other thing is that he's Tri-Face, but each face is like an ace of like a card, but there's 4 suits of cards. So why did they choose a deck of cards to symbolize? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
And I'll say actually now, like, even though the nimbly bird thing like totally creeped me the fuck out, I actually sort of liked him at the end. But he has the cheesiest line.
I knew you were gonna say
I totally turned on Nimbly. I'm sorry. I'm like thinking this over. Okay, so there's Nimbly is like basically like a double agent in the beginning, right? So he's like Xaida's like minion, but then he has to get Bastian to trust him, so he like pretends to be his friend or whatever. And he is sort of like in awe of the memory capturing like machine that they have. And so when like Xaida isn't there, he goes up and like looks at the little memories. So at first the memories that Bastian's losing are actually like kind of bad ones with his dad, him getting into fights with his dad or whatever. And then the later ones are these really nice, very touching moments with his mom giving him that like sweater that he ended up like wearing to death. The mom reading him a story, and then him like kissing his mom on the head when she was like dying from presumably, let's say, cancer, like in a sick bed. And she tells him like, oh, but like Bastian, like don't worry about dying. Like life is just one never-ending story.
We're all part of the never-ending story.
Cheese ball. And then like that's the one that like really touches Nimbly, and he starts to cry. So he had never had any actual emotions, I guess. That's what I'm assuming.
But
and
the memory gave him emotions.
Yeah, and that's what turns him.
Okay, but the other like shortcut they make in this movie is that like what you just talked about was 3 individual memories that were somehow all just crammed into like one memory ball.
Right.
Which,
yeah,
okay,
what up with that?
Whatever. But then thinking about that memory machine gave me like crazy anxiety, because sometimes I think about how every day, and like I'll probably this is like freaking me out just thinking about this before I say it, but like every day you go through life or whatever, you will not remember like more like most of those days. Yeah. The only ones that we start remembering when we're older are like specific moments. And same thing with whatever. So like if you had to sit down and be like, here are all the memories I've ever had in my life, like that stresses me the fuck out. Not that Bastian had to do that, but I feel like there was still a small number of balls in that machine where like I feel like I have a lot of memories, but
there were definitely enough memories.
There were not enough memories.
That guy needs to get living. I mean, what's happening there?
But if they condensed like 3 memories into one ball, like that's not fair. I don't know how that works,
but I mean, it's a cool concept, and I do remember that part a lot when I was little too, because it is kind of cool. It's like his shape of his head, and they just kind of keep falling down this cool little contraption. I mean, they did do a good job with like the details, those like little details here and there, but yeah, just not as, I don't know, like I just can't even like put into words like how odd but amazing the first one was. I don't know if it's like the European touch that like the guy who did it was like that German director guy or like something, or was it and it wasn't anything to do with Jim Henson, right? Like that Henson wasn't involved. I don't know why that other one is just like so magical to me.
It's just the time in your life when you saw it.
But even like the look of the film, maybe because it was old.
The Neverending Story formed a memory in your memory machine, and you remember it from that.
And like in the Bastian character, okay, so I hate to speak ill of the dead, Jonathan Brandis died, very sad, committed suicide when he was like in his 20s.
R.I.P.
Yeah. But really miscast for this role. Like lovely looking fella, but just if you were trying to like mimic, and like maybe they were supposed to like, okay, he's a teenager now, so he's like supposed to be bratty or whatever, but there was such this great like innocence, but also adult, very like smart, caring, like lovely person that little Bastian, the first Bastian was.
Bookish.
Yeah. And I just did not believe that this Bastian like ever picked up a fucking book. I'll tell you that. And he was bratty. He was whiny. Like his bug out eyes like is basically laughable in this whole movie. Yeah. And he bugs out all the time.
Needs to get a new look for shock. Yeah. And it upset. Yeah.
So it just was like horribly miscast. And the Childlike Empress, horribly miscast. I don't know like who that bitch was, but no. They're just basically were just like, okay, like put on like a wispy voice and you nailed it. No. And like what I said, if you follow us on Twitter, again, the Childlike Empress, despite being childlike and a child, she's not supposed to actually be a child. She's childlike, right? So you have to project this sort of like actual like wisdom.
Like regal, like, intelligence.
This
kind
bitch
of
does
thing.
not have it. She's like curly hair, doesn't fit under the thing, doesn't look anything like the first. I mean, wouldn't you even like try to cast someone who looks like relatively like Tammy? What's her name?
Yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice. I don't know. It's just they made decisions and we don't agree with them. But yeah, I hated this Childlike Empress. Even when I was little, I was like, that ain't my Childlike
The
Empress.
headpiece is wrong. The dress is busted.
Not my Childlike
Why is
Empress.
she on a fucking boat?
That's how she gets around. I don't know. I didn't know she could leave the ivory tower, but like whatever.
And like, why is the water around the Silver City? Why is it acid? They don't explain that.
No. Maybe it was to keep the building shiny. I don't know. It's not like those people have anywhere to
They
go.
don't explain anything. And it's not like you really want to over-explain a fantasy movie because then you're just going to be explaining the whole movie. But like, why mention that if it's like, oh, was it important that there was acid in the water because like he would have just jumped in it? Okay.
Or not. Oh, well, and it kills the giants at that part.
Right, okay.
But, I mean, if you think about the first one, there's plenty of unexplained things. Like, they never explain who the fuck Morla is, and she just appears in the swamp, and you're like, wow, it's a big turtle. Like,
But she's just part of Fantasia. I don't think does that need explanation?
I don't know, but they're like, Morla, the wise one, right? Like, remember Bastian, like, says that out loud when he's reading it, and you're like, why does he know that? So I'm sure if you, like, look at it from that point of view, this is that same thing. I feel like I just think the quality of this movie is just so poor that we're just, like, meaner to it.
Yeah.
So that's why, but... You know, whatever. What can you do? Like I said, I still enjoyed this when I was little. Had no taste, whatever. There was just something about it that spoke to children. I don't know. I bet if you showed these two movies to like youngins today, they'd probably pick the second one. And I don't know why.
Okay, that'd be a really good test to do though.
I know.
Who's that podcast who shows it to their kid?
This was rad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this is rad. This was rad.
She has like pretty good taste, and she's a little
Okay.
older than what I would like to. Like, I feel like 6-7-year-old is the age range that I would try here.
They
so,
hit it out of the park.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, not a great movie.
And I hate to break it to everybody, but we will not be doing the Neverending Story 3. We have never seen that. Actually, didn't even know about it until today. Did some research on it. The kid from Free Willy is in it.
Who I don't even remember.
Yeah,
I can't even picture him
he
right
like
now.
Look the same on the they did 3 Free Willy, so it's tough to say.
That's it.
Yeah.
I feel like they did 4.
Oh my god,
I've been thinking of
They had
Jaws.
So many Free Willies. I do kind of want to watch
no,
that.
fuck that movie.
I saw
that
someone
movie.
talking about it on Twitter, and they're like, "This movie is so awesome," and the Michael Jackson song is the best. And I'm like, it
What's
totally
this?
is.
Which one is that again?
The Michael Jackson
Yeah.
song. Hold me like the river Jordan, and I will then say to thee, you were my
And
friend.
then the chorus comes in. And
Yep.
all the people are like,
Yep.
ooh,
I'll be there.
do, 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 do.
Everyone's taking control of me. I'm so confused. Will you show to me? La 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 la. So funny story about that song. So my 5th grade, we did it in our spring concert, and my dance teacher came in and like choreographed a dance to it. We made a paper mache orca and like made him like jump behind. Like we were all waves, and he like jumped behind us because he was like on sticks. Oh my god, it was the
remember that.
greatest.
I was there because we were in elementary school at the
Yes.
same time. So
5th grade. It was awesome. And that's
funny.
a pretty cool song to do for like a spring concert when you normally just do the classics. We were like
rad.
keeping it current, man.
Pretty rad. We had a really cool music teacher when I was in 2nd grade, and he knew that we all loved the Power Rangers because that was like the heyday of the Power Rangers. And he was like, I have an idea. Like, everybody has all these Power Ranger costumes because literally all of us were Power Rangers for Halloween. He was like, for the spring concert, like, you guys put on your Power Ranger costumes and we'll just play the theme song. You guys can just do like fake punching and stuff. And we were like, yes, best day ever. Like, you're the best music teacher. But then they were like, the parents were like, this is too violent. Like, we shouldn't allow this. So they wouldn't let us do it.
Wow.
Stupid.
Stupid.
Whatever. I got to be Granny and the Beverly Hillbillies.
You're
and
going to
stuff.
watch the Power Ranger movie with like
No,
the
it
remake?
already came out.
Yeah. You're just going to watch
Probably
it.
not.
Old times.
We should watch.
We should do a Power Ranger episode.
I know.
I remember this is my best story for Andre and the Power Rangers. We were like somewhere doing errands and like we weren't gonna make it back in time, and Andre like burst into tears, would
like,
not
traffic.
stop crying.
was an accident.
Oh my god, flipping the fuck out. We're like, it's okay, like it'll be on again.
Oh, no, it won't. There weren't really reruns back then, just so you know.
You cried so hard.
I just like to point out that I
Literally died.
still react in that way today if like something doesn't go my way. Like remember that time, one time our TV like totally shit the bed and it was on the night that Vampire Diaries was on. You remember it was like frozen and we called like it just didn't work. And I was like, I'm going to miss Vampire Diaries. Like, I don't know if this was before streaming. It wasn't that long ago. I'm just so confused. But like, I got so back then I would cry, but now I get I get like rage cry and I like get really mad and like throw things and I turn into like the Incredible Hulk and just get like really upset. Sometimes I get real mad, sweetie. Right?
You do. Yeah, it's just like a weird little
Don't mess
part
with
of
me.
your
Don't
gene.
mess with me. One time, my friend Hillary Burke was like being really mean to me when we were playing Ultimate Frisbee, and I got so mad. I just like punched her in the arm really hard all of a sudden. And I was just like, and she like started crying. It was pretty great. Yeah, so that happens to me sometimes. Whatever. I'm only human.
Yeah.
I can't help it. So
Rage gene.
good detour.
Anyway, guys.
So yeah,
Good one.
Sequels September.
Yeah.
So what are some of the other movies we're gonna cover?
So I wish I did an Instagram story on it. I should have done a post because the stories disappear. But let's see if we can think from the top of our head. So My Girl 2, Gremlins 2, Look Who's Talking 2. 3 Men and a Little Lady. We're gonna skip 3 Men and a Baby because wasn't really something we saw when we were kids.
Bag,
yeah. And Grease 2. That one today. Wayne's World.
Oh shit! Yes. What about
2?
Weekend at Bernie's too?
Weekend at Bernie's 2. Okay, there's so many. We're gonna have to watch like 3 movies a week.
It's gonna be fun.
Jesus Christ, guys! Like,
Get ready.
I mean, I don't know if we can do all this.
We're gonna have to pay for more storage space.
Yeah, this is
to
gonna
post
be,
these
like,
episodes.
fucking rad. So, and like honestly, all those ones I listed are really awesome. So I think this is
Except
gonna
for
be
Weekend at Bernie's too, but
Yeah.
only because it's
That's,
like hilariously
awesome
bad.
Yeah. So yeah, this might only be our really bad one. So props for you if you hung on and listened to this episode where we didn't have a lot to say.
But we still had fun.
We still have
as we usually do.
Oh, always and forever.
Cool. So thank you for hanging in there. Catch us, join the conversation. Tell us how much you love or hate, probably, the Neverending Story too. We're on Twitter at the Sweety Club and on Instagram at Large Marge Sent Us. Thank you for listening. Bye. Bye.